Okay, and we are officially recording. So, all right. Well, hello, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Therapy Thursday, brought to you by UNC Therapy Services and the Community Engagement Committee. I want to thank you for being here today. My name is Evan Adler. I'm a physical therapist and chair of the committee. This is something that kind of grew out of kind of our need to want to really continue to reach out to folks out there and provide good, solid information about physical therapy, while a lot of us are still, quarantined or working from home, and really give an opportunity to reach out where we can't usually reach out in person. So this episode of Therapy Thursday is called In the Balance, and going to be talking about all sorts of types of imbalance that one might have, and common treatments for it. We're lucky enough to have Kristen presenting today. She has tons of experience as a clinician. She's moved into a more managerial role more recently, and we're really lucky to have her in those capacities. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kristen, but I just want to say, if you have any questions during the presentation, please use the chat that's in the browser there, and I'll be monitoring that and helping to facilitate. And as we kind of go on, I'm going to be dropping in some links in there to our Facebook page and to our YouTube page. So please go and visit and join and help boost our numbers, and that'll encourage other people to join. We have a nice intimate group today, and this will be great. So Kristen, the floor is all yours.
Oh, well, thank you, Evan. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Thank you so much for taking time to join me on today's talk with Therapy Thursday. My name is Kristen Soth. I'm a physical therapist, and I am also a manager for one of the UNC Therapy Services outpatient clinics. A quick rundown about me is, Evan had mentioned I have lots of experience. I have about 20 years experience. I started my career working in long-term care and skilled nursing facilities, as well as independent senior living apartments. And I transitioned to working for different healthcare systems across North Carolina. With that, my experience expanded into working on ICUs, both the cardiac and then the neuro ICUs. I've also worked on orthopedic floors within the hospital systems. And about 2004, I transitioned to the world of outpatient therapy. Most of my experience is dealing with people who have neurological issues. That can be vertigo, balance, people who have neuropathies, who brain injuries, all sorts of issues. So I've also dabbled in orthopedics, and so and now that even though I'm in management, it's interesting that I get to see these trends throughout every aspect of the healthcare system of how balance is greatly can be impacted regardless of your age. So that's something that I wanted to talk about today. So the caveat was that we've all taken a fall or we've had a stumble at some point in time. So I want to make sure that we understand that this is not going to be geared towards our elderly population, right? Kids fall off of bikes. As we're walking through the park, we've tripped on roots, or we bumped into something. So this happens for all ages. However, oftentimes we kind of brush it off. We're not paying enough attention, or we're just kind of clumsy. But some serious injuries and pain can happen from a tumble. My own personal experience about 5 years ago, probably even about 10 years ago, time flies when you're having fun, is I was standing at the edge of a creek, and I didn't want to get my feet wet, so I was standing on a rock, and I just kind of lost my footing. I only fell about a foot, but I fell onto the ground, and it really increased. I had pain with sleeping. I had pain with leaning over to tie my shoes. I was worried that I couldn't work. And then when I went into work the following week, I shared, hey, I had a fall. And even though I'm somewhat younger, I remember a colleague was like, oh my gosh, you fell? You know, that's hilarious. I'm like, no, really, it was a big deal. I had to go get x-rays, and I got some physical therapy. So fortunately, I've been on the mend. But so again, take-home message is that falls can really happen to any of us, and they can have some serious consequences. So what I'd like to help you understand is some of the various factors that affect our steadiness, and then what are some things that we can do to reduce our risk of injury while still staying active and improve our balance. So, the factors that affect our balance, we'll be talking about those specifically. We're going to find some things that you have control over, right? This is not just a normal part of aging, and something that we just have to kind of just deal with. There are ways that we can improve balance regardless of your age. So again, with my background, I've worked with patients that are from age 5 to 100. And I've seen balance issues in all age ranges. So we'll talk about some strategies that we can make some improvements there. We'll look at some ways that we can reduce the risk, of having a fall, and then subsequently reducing the risk of having injuries. So let's look at what is balance. So balance technically is a state of equilibrium. It's an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady, right? So if things are not equally distributed, right, then we tend to take a tumble over. Or something like our coffee cup falls over onto the table. So let's think about what is a fall. A fall is not a normal part of aging. I cannot stress that enough. It is not a normal part of aging, okay? And so a fall technically is defined as any unexpected landing on a surface. That could be falling off your bike. That could be getting up out of a chair and feeling a little lightheaded and then kind of popping back down unexpectedly. It could be tripping on a root or a curb. It could be we're wearing socks and then we had missed that last step, right? And then we landed on our butt. So there's lots of different ways that we can, that would equate a fall. So it's not necessarily a face plant, right? It's kind of any unexpected landing on a surface. So why is talking about falls important? So there's a lot of data that looks at, especially for our older population, so this is age 65 and over. So 1 in 4 older Americans fall every year. That is a pretty high statistic. Falls are also the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries for people age 65 and over. So think of like your hip fractures, a broken knee, spraining an ankle, like any of those things. Surprisingly, more than 75% of falls take place inside or in close proximity to our home. And then falls can lead to physical injuries, right, just like we had just mentioned, even depression, right? If you're not able to do things that you normally do, you might feel down about it, and then it's going to be less likely that you're going to want to like jump out of your chair or, you know, get back on that bike or go horseback riding again or whatever your activity of choice is. So this can lead to an overall spiral of loss of activity and decreased mobility. So that's what we want to prevent, is that spiral of inactivity. Because the less active we are, then the more at risk we are for having a fall or losing our balance, right? Which is going to make us more fearful, right? So then we'll do even less and less and less, right? That's something that we want to not get into that spiral. So there's factors that influence our balance and can cause a fall. So we're going to look at two different buckets. So one is these extrinsic factors. So think of outside of me. So this is my environment, right? This is things that around me. These can be uneven surfaces. Again, thinking about curbs, stairs. Think about gravel, right? So gravel, if you feel uneven, grass feels very spongy. Tree roots, you know, you're walking in the park and then you find something unexpectedly, just kind of grab your toe. Sand can also be like an uneven surface, right? So it might give a little bit when you're towards land, but feel differently when you're towards the water, as well as inclines. Slippery surfaces, so we're coming on to winter. So slippery surfaces could be ice, right? So we have inclement weather, any kind of wet surface out there. And now that we're in the fall season, even leaves that are out there, right? Anything that can make your surface of what you're walking on slippery. Decreased lighting and visibility. So if you've ever, as a kid, you know, played like a game with either being blindfolded, right? You feel a lot more clumsy and you start looking around and feeling with your hands and you feel awkward. So lighting and your level of visibility can play a big role in our mobility. There's also external forces, right? Getting bumped by another person while you're standing in line. Getting knocked over by a wave. I had a family member that we were at the beach and then like a wave just kind of knocked her over, and even though it seemed kind of funny at the time, she had like a good injury to her wrist after that. So there's things that are external to us that can impact our level of steadiness. There's also distractions. Think about while we're checking texts and we're reading emails and you're walking down the street, right? And we're not really closely paying attention to what's happening around us. So that can definitely impact our level of steadiness. Then there's also things that are internal or intrinsic, right? So they're inside of me, inside of you, right? So there's lots of factors that we can consider here. Any medications that you take, that they can have some side effects. If you have vision loss or poor vision, or if you're like me, you have corrective lenses, without being able to see clearly, that we don't have as good mobility. A prior experience of falls. So statistically, if we've had a fall before, we're more likely to have another fall sometime in the near future. Having a loss of strength and even endurance, those can precipitate loss of mobility as well as a loss in our balance skills. Loss of feeling in extremities. So this could be, if any of you have experienced numbness in your limbs, if you've had neuropathies, sometimes this can happen even after chemotherapies or radiations. This can occur years later down the road. So not being able to feel things as well can impact your level of steadiness. Urinary frequency, right? So if you gotta go, you gotta go. And you don't even have time to think about it. And so we get distracted and we get in a rush and we start to rush to the bathroom. So that can put someone at risk for having a fall or loss of balance. Decreased mobility. By that I mean, do you or someone you love, do they use a cane or a walker, or are there some type of assistive device? Do they get around in a wheelchair? So that could also play a role in our balance. So that use of an assisted device or therapist, we call it furniture walking, right? You got to hold on to the one counter and then you got to hold on to the wall, and as you kind of make your way down. Sometimes it could be feeling like you need to hold on to somebody's hand for steadiness or somebody's arm. But any of that, if you're reliant on some of those things, then you could be, again, at greater risk for having a fall. Even episodes of low blood pressure. I get up, I feel a little lightheaded, I also become a little disorienting, and then I might be seeing kind of some stars or just feeling unsure of myself for a moment or two. So having low blood pressure or episodes of that, especially with changes in position, can influence our steadiness. Fortunately, though, there's lots of things that I just covered that we have control and we can modify. So here's some quick tips that we can do to improve our balance. You want to review all of your medications with your healthcare provider. Consider talking to your pharmacist, right? They know medications and their interactions. They're excellent resources to go talk to. Have your vision checked, and this means annually. Even when you think your vision is good, that you should have your vision checked pretty regularly. Any event that you've had, whether it's been a fall or a near fall. A near fall is I lost my balance, but I recovered. I didn't really make it all the way to the ground, right? Or I kind of stumbled and I got caught up on myself. So I would talk about those things as well with a healthcare provider. Because then there might be something underlying that we need to consider and see, well, what's going on? Is there something more that we can do to prevent this from getting worse? Wearing proper footwear. So summertime, we wore a lot of flip-flops and some sandals that just don't really stay on our feet too well. Wearing shoes that have slick surfaces that don't stay secured to our feet. I believe that slippers, they kind of earn their name, right? They're not the best kind of shoe wear to wear. You want to wear something that stays secured around the top of your foot and goes around the heel. That is stays secured. It's the right size, has a good rubber sole on it, and is comfortable. Another tip that you can do to quickly improve your balance anytime you get up is just, whether it's from a bed or a chair, give yourself a moment, right? Just get your balance, get your bearings before you try to take off and go answer the door or answer the phone, or to see what's going on in the backyard. If a healthcare provider has recommended, then utilize your walking aid. So there's oftentimes I've met folks that they thought, it's just from here to the door, I can get there, I don't need to use my cane. And then unfortunately, that was just enough time and space in order to lose balance and have a fall. So some things that we can do to reduce risk of injury, this is for all ages. So looking outside of our home for tripping hazards is if you have stairs, install a rail. And don't store things on your stairs, right? We don't want any tripping hazards. Consider adding lighting to your entrances. If you fumbled ever with your keys to get into the door, whether it's at your car or to your house, lighting can make a big impact. Keeping your entrance and area free of clutter and debris. So if those fallen leaves, don't let them all add up, right? So go ahead and try to sweep them or have somebody assist you with that. Snow and ice, making sure that you have a good clear pathway or somebody can help you with that. And again, making sure that we don't store a lot of things near our entryway. Park in well-lit areas. Or if it's not accessible, then carry a flashlight with you. You can have one that goes on your keychain or that you can carry on your pocket or in your purse. Again, because that will help us see tripping hazards, like those little stone barriers that are near parking areas, maybe a stick that's fallen that's near your vehicle that maybe you just didn't see. While walking on slippery surfaces, when we do encounter rain and ice in the areas that get covered in leaves, like on our sidewalks and streets, keep your arms free. We don't want to have our hands in our pockets, have our arms folded. We don't want to be carrying a lot of packages, right? Because then just think of a tightrope walker. So if somebody feels unsteady or unbalanced, if you have your arms free, then you can maintain your balance a little better. But if I'm loaded down with things, or I have them all on one side, then I'm going to have that disequilibrium, again, that I talked about in the beginning. When you do carry things, such as groceries, shopping bags, keep the load small. You do not need to carry it all at once in one trip from your car into your home, right? So carry a little bit at a time, and then that will go a long way. Or if you have somebody there that's with you, ask for a little bit of help so you can participate in that together. And minimizing distractions. So walking and chewing gum is hard enough. So walking and reading your phone, or trying to talk on the phone, or reply to a text message, or read the news, or the latest and greatest that's on social media, those are big distractions. So if you can, limit your distractions when possible. There are times when I'm with a friend, to say, you know, I can listen, but I got to pay attention to what's going on right here. So just being aware of your environment. There are lots of things that we can do inside our home. We don't even think about these things, right? This is part of our natural environment. We don't even think that these could be putting us at risk for having an injury, tripping us, catching a toe, slipping on things. So things that we can do inside our home. If you have a spill, clean it up. Clean it up immediately. Don't let it sit there, right? Because then we get distracted, we forget about things, and then we forget to come back to it. Keeping things within reach. So things that I don't use very often but are light, I can put up really high, like higher than my normal reach. Things that I don't use very often that are heavy, I keep down low. So think of like a crock pot or a big pot, something that would be heavy there. The things that I use pretty regularly, I'm going to keep somewhere between the mid part of my body so that I don't have to get on my tiptoes, I don't have to climb on a step stool, I don't have to jump or swat something off the countertop or the shelf. So keep things in easy reach. Scatter rugs can be a tripping hazard, especially if they don't have a good secure backing. So either use a non-skid surface behind it, or think of considering securing the edge of your rugs down. So they do have carpet tape that you can easily buy at a hardware store, or you can secure the edge, because sometimes where the fringe is, or just the change in the height of the rug from your other flooring surface can make a big difference, and it can trip you up. Put lamps on timers or have them on a light switch. Do not enter a room that is dark without turning on the light switch. So consider putting a lamp that's on a light switch. Don't go into a room, walk all the way across to go find that lamp, and then fumble around and then try to find the little switch to turn on. Enter a room where you can see clearly, especially if you have animals that live with you, because they like to move around a lot. So with lamps on timers, so in your entryway, you can consider putting something on a timer so that you never come into your home that is dark, and then it can go off around the same time that you go to bed. So you don't even have to think about it. Just set it and forget it. Night lights can be really helpful, especially the kind that come on automatically. They're very inexpensive, but that's not my source of light when I'm going to the bathroom in the middle of the night or reaching for something going to the kitchen. It would help you find the light switch or the lamp that you can turn on. And then if you're concerned that it's going to be too bright in the room, they do have some that are louvered so that the light is pointing down towards the ground or towards the floor rather than blinding you in the eyes. Always keep your pathways clear. This means around your coffee table so you can get to your sofa or your favorite chair. And then especially from the bedroom to the bathroom, you want to have a clear path, right? Because we got that urgency, and then we're not fully coherent, right, because we're half asleep, and then it's dark. So we got lots of variables right there that could put us at a greater risk. So get rid of tripping hazards. That could be cords, any kind of furniture that might be in your pathway. Now, while in the bathroom, having a no-skid mat near your shower or your bath area can go a long way. You don't want to have wet feet on a slippery surface. So have a mat where you can dry yourself, or a chair that's right there, and then dry your feet as soon as able. Inside your shower, consider installing a grab bar, or even the chair or something to sit down on when you're trying to bathe your feet or your lower part of your body. If you're unsure when you have your eyes closed and you're rinsing your hair or washing your face, having a grab bar can give you a little bit of stability. And you should always have a phone near you. So whether this is a portable phone or a mobile phone, anything where you can access quickly. As if something does occur, you want to be able to summon help rather quickly, right? You don't want to consider that it's way on the other side, like 2 rooms down the hall. Because you want something that's for emergency is to have with you. That is charged, that is turned on. And that includes even when you go out into the yard and you're doing yard work, or if you're walking your pet around the neighborhood, just carry a phone with you, because you never know when you might encounter something. And having that sense of security with you can give you a good sense of peace of mind. So other things that we can do, so as physical therapists, right, we promote activity and physical wellness. So we want to get moving and we want to stay active, right? So remember that the loss of strength, loss of endurance, all of those things could be impacting our balance. So we want to address those things on a regular basis. So your exercise program should include any kind of like balance task. That doesn't mean you got to go stand on one foot or stand on a ball and do something kind of nutty. But you do want something, incorporate some activities that give you a little bit of a challenge. And you can create some safe ways that you can do that if you're unsure. You can stand near a handrail, or you can stand near your kitchen sink and hold on to something in order to feel safe and comfortable while you're doing a more challenging balance activity. You can even hold on to the back of the chair. Doing some strength. So strength is a big factor. Like if you struggle to get out of a chair, right, and you have to really use your hands or your arms to push up, then that could be that you're missing some strength in your legs. And so maintaining your balance is effective if we maintain our strength. Endurance is also a big factor. So think about when we get tired, we start to get a little more clumsy, right, a little less coordinated. So same thing as we're walking and we're getting and moving around. Endurance can play a big role, and you'll maintain better balance if you have endurance activities on a regular basis in your exercise routine. So posture. So I like this little picture, good posture at any age. So posture can really make an impact in our balance and our steadiness. So think of somebody who might be leaning forward, right? And they have that momentum that kind of carries them forward. They have to work even harder in order to stay upright and to maintain balance. Balance is once it's there, it's easy to maintain. It takes a lot of effort if something is off kilter and we're trying to keep it or try to get it back upright. Also flexibility. We don't really think about this too often, but if our feet or if our ankles are tight, right, we may not have the ability and that flexibility to manage some of those uneven surfaces or to walk at a normal pattern. So you might be thinking, gosh, well, where do I even get started with some of these things? You know, I have no clue what kind of balance activities or strength activities to do. So here's where you can get started. First, you can just talk with any of your healthcare providers. They're excellent resources of information. Talk to them about your concerns. Talk to them about your medications. Talk to them about any near falls or falls that you have had, or any changes that you're noticing. You can consult with a physical therapist. So physical therapists are well adapted at muscular, skeletal issues. We work with balance, right? We work on coordination, posture, endurance, all of those factors. So a physical therapist could be beneficial if you need some one-on-one, very specific care, if you're really just unsure about where to get started. Personal trainers, they're fantastic. At our wellness centers, we have fantastic personal trainers that can assist you as well in maintaining your strength, your flexibility, as well as your endurance. So you might be interested in attending a community class. Some of you might be on hold right now during COVID. However, this website that's listed is that they have lots of balance related or balance specific programs that are out there. They vary in length. They could be anywhere from 8 weeks to 5 months or so. Matter of Balance is about a 12-week program. I've been involved in that before, and it talks about things that you can do in order to reduce your risk of fall in and around your home. And then they do go over some simple exercises like some stretches and some strengthening things that you can do. Otago, some people pronounce it Otago. That is a program that was based out of New Zealand, and it deals with posture, some basic walking activities. You need no equipment at all. You can do near your kitchen sink, and that is a well-established and well-researched program that you can ask one of your healthcare providers if they know how to get you a pamphlet for that. Tai Chi is also well-researched as far as improving balance and steadiness, especially for our older population. There's been countless articles that support Tai Chi as being effective in improving balance. There's also a YMCA Moving for Better Balance. So again, these programs and so many more that are out in there in the community, and that might meet your specific interest in accessibility, would be a great way to get connected with other people and also to understand what specific exercises could be beneficial to help you with balance, strength, posture, endurance. So to find out more, so there's a North Carolina Falls Prevention Coalition. They are an amazing organization, and they have resources that come in different languages. There's Chinese, English, Spanish, Portuguese. There's also, they have specific health considerations for Alaskan Natives and our American Indian populations that are very specific to those cultures. So they have fantastic information that I suggest that you go and look for. I'm going to promote the UNC Therapy Services. So the first website is for therapy that's throughout our health system. And then the second website is it's geared towards our wellness center programs. So in this presentation today is in collaboration with our wellness centers at Northwest Cary and in Metama. We do have physical therapy practices at both of those locations. And there's fantastic personal trainers at both of those locations and health educators. So as a review, what we talked about were some factors that affect our balance. Remember those things external to us that are in our environment and around us. We also talked about things that are internal to us. So things like our vision and on the medications that we take, our strength, how well we feel, light through our feet. And then some of those things that that we have control over, right, is making sure you manage your medications, having your vision checked, installing that handrail, or maybe getting rid of that little extra scatter rug that's around the house, adding some lighting, especially as it's getting dark earlier. So those are some simple things that you can do, or you can pass along this information to somebody that it may be helpful for. So some strategies to improve our balance. We talked about the importance of being physically active and some of the activities that we want to include in our exercise routine in order to maintain our steadiness and improve our balance. So the ways to reduce the risk of having a fall, there was suggestions that I made as far as using an assistive device if it's recommended for you, wearing proper shoes, try not to carry everything all at once, and then reducing clutter around your home. And then how to reduce the risk of injury. So paying attention to what's around us. And I think just being, again, limiting distractions. We're awfully distracted by things lately. So paying attention, right, because if you're riding a bike, you don't want to accidentally run into the tree or go off the curb. So there's lots of things that we can do to reduce the risk of our injury. So I'm going to open it up and see what questions that you specifically have for me, or if you have any need for clarification on some ideas that I proposed.
Kristen, that was great. Thank you so much for your presentation. Fantastic information there. We do have to wrap up in just a couple of minutes here. So if anybody does have any questions, now would be the time. Please go ahead and drop anything into the chat, or it's a pretty small group. So if you want to jump on it, please feel free. While you are thinking about any questions that you may have, I will just go ahead and plug our next session. So in 2 weeks, on the 19th, sorry, I'm looking for that. In 2 weeks, we will have a pelvic health focused therapy Thursday entitled "Looking for Ways to Manage Your Incontinence? You're in luck." So please, I see your head shaking there. I didn't come up with it. I'm kicking myself that I didn't. But in a couple of weeks, we'll be talking about bladder control as far as incontinence and pelvic floor health. So this is not just for for women or just for men. This is across the board. Happens to a lot of runners, a lot of postpartum folks. So it's pretty widespread topic. Right. And I don't know that I can get back. Anything popping up in the chat there? I don't think so. All right, well, I'm going to bring this down. Nope, that's about it. Okay, well, then we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye to everybody. I put in the chat there our link for our Facebook page. You'll find our upcoming events there. And also our link to our YouTube channel, where you'll be able to find previous episodes of Therapy Thursday. And this one will be posted up there hopefully by tomorrow. And I think that is probably about it. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thank you. And thank you for the feedback.